Welcome back to For Real. We're pleased you're here and we want to thank you for watching our videos. As you probably know by now, we donate all the money we earn from YouTube to charities doing amazing work in Cambodia. And you're helping us earn this money just by watching, so thank you. In the description of our videos, you can see how much we've earned from YouTube and where the money is going. As I mentioned last week, we received our YouTube income from March, and it was 190 Australian dollars or 143 US. I've now donated that to Reach and Heartprint at 50% each. That brings our donation grand total to 2,582 US dollars or 3,497 Australian. All of our monthly amounts are in the description of this video in case you're interested in seeing how much this YouTube gig pays. While you're there, check out the charities for yourself, and if you can, send a few dollars their way. I'm very excited to announce that today's collaboration features a ride supplied by Ryan from Itchy Feet on the Cheap. I know most of you already watch his channel, but if you don't, you bloody well should. As you'll see, the ride showcases some stylish manoeuvring from Ryan. You should also look out for a ladder carrier, a high-heeled rider, a couple of gold Camrys, and a slew of Prius. That's a Toyota Prius for those non-Cambodians. Without further ado, today is Wednesday the 30th of March 2022. First up today, I want to give an update about visas, borders, and COVID testing on entry. There was a bit of a question mark over whether unvaccinated travellers were included in the recent announcement that pre-flight PCR testing and ratting on arrival would no longer be required, and we can now confirm that indeed unvaccinated travellers are also included and do not need to have those tests. The only difference between unvaccinated and vaccinated travellers is that unvaccinated travellers will need to do 14 days quarantine on arrival. Airlines are starting to update their websites with the recent changes to visas and COVID testing. Singapore Air and Bangkok Airways are all over it like a fat kid on a Smartie. As you can tell, I'm trying to out-Aussie Todd from Now and Lao there. If you don't know, Smarties are the Aussie version of M&Ms. Land borders with Thailand and Lao are still closed, but borders with Vietnam are slightly ajar. The Mokbai Bavet seems to be open, but not officially, and possibly Ha Tien as well. There have been scattered reports of people making it through those two locations. I haven't heard about anyone getting in without already holding a valid visa for Cambodia. We've received a few questions about insurance and the $1,000 or $2,000 deposit. These are no longer required and haven't been required since late last year. Okay, let's get to the Thai-Cambodian border and unravel what's going on there. Concerns are very real at the border, and the number of Cambodians returning prior to the Khmer New Year is growing. Many of these have not been able to access vaccinations while they've been in Thailand. The Prime Minister said, "We are taking strict control of the Cambodian-Thai border, and those who have not been vaccinated enough, that is, fully vaccinated, we require them to be quarantined for 14 days. More than 1,000 people are currently in quarantine on the Cambodian side of the border in various locations. The concern about people bringing COVID over the border from Thailand is certainly valid because Thailand is experiencing around 30,000 cases each day. Cambodia's official COVID case numbers are dropping and no deaths have been reported in the last couple of days. However, on the Thai side of the border, Cambodians continue to test positive for COVID as they cross into Thailand. And one report said that 20% of Thailand's new imported cases are coming from Cambodia. I guess this confirms that the number of positive cases in Cambodia is far higher than the official numbers suggest. I'm certainly not saying that this is any kind of cover-up on the Cambodian government's part, merely that when the virus was deemed to be endemic in Cambodia, they made a deliberate move to stop testing, and that's why the numbers are much lower than they are in places like Thailand. Thailand has a way bigger population as well, so that definitely contributes to the number of cases. Take care out there in the streets of Cambodia and stay home if you have any symptoms. If you do have symptoms, you might want to take a rat or an ART, but you will want to make sure that the rat that you use is a genuine one. 3 pickup trucks loaded with Chinese-made rapid antigen test kits were seized by Thai police on Sunday as they headed to Cambodia through the border crossing in the eastern province of Sa Kaeo. Authorities on the Thai side are examining the test kits to see if they are authentic. Police on the Cambodian side have not yet been informed about the outcome of the examinations, but if the test kits are found to be authentic, they will be allowed to cross the border. If they are fake, they will be confiscated and those involved will face charges. Official and authentic COVID vaccination doses continue to arrive by air from China into Cambodia. The total drop is a massive 20 million doses, with most of those now on the ground in Phnom Penh. The vaccines are the Sinovac brand and have been given as a donation to Cambodia. Khmer New Year is fast approaching, and excitement is not the only thing that is increasing. The Ministry of Tourism has said it is working with officials to prevent overpricing at hotels and other facilities during the festivities next month. The ministry expressed concern over higher prices affecting both domestic and international visitors. According to guidelines issued by the Ministry of Tourism released on Monday, it recommended that tourism business owners across the country clearly list the price of accommodation, food, and other services so that guests know in advance what is affordable for them. It also added that business owners, restaurants, entertainment, and other services which do not follow the guidelines will have to face legal action. Cambodia's Prime Minister Hun Sen has again strongly condemned the Russian invasion of Ukraine, calling it an act of aggression that is unacceptable to Cambodia. He said Cambodia takes a stand in principle. No matter if it is Russia or any other country that invades another, Cambodia is always against this. He added that Russia is a friend of Cambodia and used to help Cambodia. However, he said that this act of aggression is unacceptable and Cambodia cannot be neutral. The next day, if a country acts like this against Cambodia, who does Cambodia have to depend on? He said. We practice foreign policy based on the law. Cambodia is a co-founding member of the UN General Assembly, and the emergency resolution on the situation in Ukraine. Among 141 countries, Cambodia voted to condemn and demand that Russia withdraw its troops from Ukraine. The Indonesian embassy in Cambodia has announced scholarships to be awarded to Cambodian students for a full-time medical postgraduate program at Universitas Gadjah Mada, or UGM. UGM specialises in research and training on tropical diseases and is part of the Tropical Disease Research Program. It helps facilitate, support, and influence efforts to combat diseases of poverty. It is co-sponsored by the United Nations Children's Fund, which is UNICEF, United Nations Development Programme, the World Bank, and the WHO. The goal of this scheme is to enhance postgraduate training capacity and boost the number of researchers in low and middle-income countries. The scholarship covers airfares between Cambodia and Indonesia, tuition fees, health and accident insurance, as well as a monthly stipend and support for research thesis expenses. A language course will also be offered to assist the students in integrating in the university's environment. A couple of quickies now. Praia Sihanouk Province's Deputy Police Chief in charge of traffic has been suspended over alleged misconduct in dealing with traffic accidents. Apparently, he made many mistakes and released violators involved in traffic accidents in Sihanoukville. I'll say no more about that. The Ministry of Public Works will use ground-penetrating radars to check road quality. Workers have started using an imported device called a nuclear densometry meter to check the quality of roads instead of drilling holes and testing them in the laboratory. It's good news for everyone to hear that they're not drilling holes in the roads just to test the quality. And finally today we have a visual feast for you. You're going to need to go into the comments and check out the link to the photos for this story. But Mr. Grand Cambodia 2022 is off to compete in the international final in Puerto Rico. Yoton Vanna, aka Mr. Grand Cambodia, is 180 centimetres tall and weighs 81 kilos. He works in the aircraft service sector. That just about brings us to the end of today's News Moto. I wonder how Ryan's going with the ride there. I think he's still got about 3 or 4 minutes to go, so we'll leave you with him so that you can see the rest of his journey. As always, there'll be links to all of the stories that I talked about today in the pinned comment of the video, and in the description of the video there's links to other channels. I'll also leave a link to Itchy Feet on the Cheap if you are silly enough to still need it because you haven't subscribed yet. What are you doing? Take care, comb your beard, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!